And we're back. Wasn't that great?
Yeah!
So let's bring back up Jon Schnitzer, who is the director of the film. Huge round of applause. Do you want to bring the rest of the cast up? Congratulations.
Shar, come on over. You get the chance. Everyone. My favorite monster.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was so incredible to watch this with all of your energy, with all of the excitement. This was incredible. Thank you.
Jon, you want to take a seat?
Sure.
Right, I'll start it off. What made you want to do a documentary about haunters and that world? Are you part of it? Was it something you always wanted to do?
My birthday's in October, so I do every haunted house growing up. I grew up in Orange County, right by Not Scary Farm, right by some of the most incredible home haunts, and I've always found a way to do something epic for Halloween throughout my life. My wife and I started a company called The Brain Factory, and we got real lucky. We got Tim Burton as a client, and he hired us to do 3D ghost illusions for President Obama's first Halloween party at the White House. It was the coolest thing ever. It was awesome. And I love documentaries because they open a door into a subculture that we didn't really know everything about. Like Exit Through the Gift Shop, oh my God. There's so many great documentaries out there. And I was like, I really want to do one that takes us into the world of haunted houses. I didn't realize I'd be going down to the extreme stuff. I did not realize that from the start. But I started noticing they were getting more and more extreme, and I was like, this is a really interesting story that hasn't been told, and I wanted to do something that had the horror and the heart.
So let's talk about the giant man in the room, Russ McKay. How did you meet him? How did you find him? How did you convince him to be on the documentary?
I saw some of his videos and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this can't be real. You know, this has to be fake. How many times do you hear people say, oh, this movie's gonna terrify you, or that haunt will mess you up for life? And you go, it's like, oh, it was a lot of fun. I had a good time. It didn't mess me up for life. And he had these videos where he kept saying, you don't want to come here. You don't want to come here. People are screaming, I gotta get out, I gotta get out. I'm like, what is this? What is going on? And I've always wondered, like, how far is too far? And from the stories and from the videos, I was like, well, there it is. This is the craziest, most extreme, most controversial horror simulation I've ever heard about. And I wanted to meet who that was. I wanted to know what his neighbors thought. So I asked, can I go film? He said, no, no, you can't. Almost every haunter said no to me at first. But I would talk to him. I said, look, I really want to capture your stories. You know, I'm not out here to demonize anyone. I'm trying to capture who you are. I'm trying to capture what it's like to go through your experience, but I'm also trying to capture the emotional journey of what it is to be someone that sacrifices so much of their life to dedicate giving us the gift to scream our heads off. So he let me go down. I said, let me spend a weekend at your house. I spent a weekend at McCamey Manor. And I wanted to get to know them, and I filmed them. And I said, at the end of the weekend, if you don't like how I've been doing the interviews and stuff, don't sign the waiver. And after the end of the weekend, they signed up, and then we just continued the journey of filming him and filming all the other stories. But it's fascinating to see this with him, because how many of you have friends that don't get your obsession with horror? They just don't get it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, they can't see the difference between horror and horrible. Like, oh, they just love horrible things. You know, they don't understand that we're having a great time. It's actually a lot of fun for us. It's a rush. It's like being on a roller coaster. You know, and without the extreme side as a really interesting sounding board too, people were looking at some of the home haunters and going, what's wrong with these people? They're crazy. Then we bring in Russ McCamey and Black Adam, people are going, oh, these other people are so sweet. I want to go to one. And people who hate Halloween and hate haunted houses, I was testing this on, were saying, I got to try out a haunted house now. And because they started to understand why we like them so much.
I've never been to one, just for the record.
Really?
Yeah, so next week in LA.
do it.
I could dominate this conversation, but I'm going to throw it open to the room because you guys are here. Go ahead.
So I'm
Thank you all.
Yeah, so you know where this question is going. Where, in particular, the McCamey, where do they think they get off with that waiver? And revoke consent? Have they talked to you about their theory for defense? And how many times have they been sued?
Believe it or not, they have not been sued ever. Now, there was a lot of lawsuits that have been up against a lot of other haunted houses. Traditional haunts, extreme haunts, theme park haunts, a lot of lawsuits. Russ hasn't had any lawsuits against him. A lot of people who have said, I can't believe this happened to me, I wish it hadn't. But you also notice people that want to work there after they go through it. The majority of the people who work there have gone through it. It's almost like the Fight Club of haunted houses. And I kept wondering, well, wait a minute, if this happened to you, then why would you want to go through it? And when that woman April said that she wanted to work at that moment where she said, because I want to hurt, oh, hold on, I want to do to other people what happened to me. That was really kind of a fascinating moment to see that play out and to see how that worked out. But yeah, no, he's been like it. There's been a lot of complaints. His haunt is kind of on the run right now. It's not in San Diego anymore. He saw it get torn down, so now he keeps popping up into different places. And every time he pops up, then the police come in. It gets crazy every time because people are hearing people screaming for help and get me out of here. You know, it's
For a white panel there, you never know.
Another one. Yes.
So at what point during the editing did you realize that Russ would be filming?
when I was first filming Russ, I said to him, he's like, how do you think I'm gonna come off in the movie? I said, here's what I think is gonna happen. I have a feeling that when you first pop in the movie, people are gonna say, who's this crazy man? Who's this guy? Then the next time they see you, they're gonna really think you're crazy. And then the next time, I hope we can get them to connect with you on a human level. I really do. Because I think every single human being, we can find something that we can connect with so we can try to understand people a little bit and maybe empathize with them for just to try to see things from their perspective. And then by the end, I told them probably half the people are gonna wanna burn down your house and the other half are gonna wanna go through it, which is true for his life. I mean, you look at the YouTube comments, some of his videos which have been viewed millions of times and have hundreds of thousands of comments, you get so many people going, how do I go through it? How can I work there? I've got the dog food, what can I do? And all these other people saying, I'm gonna blow your house down, you're crazy, and he goes back and forth, and that's like, his everyday on there commenting on that stuff, yeah. It's a trip.
Yes.
We grew up in Orange County, and we've seen so many haunted houses, and there's so many out there. How did you choose just these ones?
Okay, so I didn't just choose all these, I filmed more. I have over 250 hours of footage.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, please, yeah. His beard was a lot shorter. I've been through so much. Special features, you're right. You know what, I actually have 30 more minutes of bonus footage on the DVD and the Blu-ray, where, like, Delusion, how cool is Delusion?
Yeah.
Well, I filmed them for years. And it was painful to be like, oh, putting this sliver of Delusion in there. But my hope is to show the direction of where they could be going. On the special features, you get like 3 years of Delusion in 8 minutes. You get John Murdy's story from Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights. You get to see his first home haunt he ever did when the first Star Wars movie came out. He did a Star Wars haunted house. And he's got the pictures. And it was before they had the costumes, he made the costumes. The Soska sisters share about cosplay. We have the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. You go really in depth with the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride. Haunted Overload with the massive skull. You get a lot more Haunted Overload. They're mind-blowing. They're incredible. I mean, the most important thing to me was the emotional journey. And how can we connect with all the different characters, getting behind the mask with the monsters, getting with the creators, really, and then really going through the controversy. And I really wanted to have time for the history of haunts and not just do a slideshow. I wanted the history section to have a pulse so that you could feel it and feel the excitement, and like you could be like how I was when I was a kid growing up, watching this haunt industry grow up too, and get that in the dose. So you have to sacrifice certain things to be able to do that. I'd love to do a TV series. I'm dying to do that for years. It'd be so much fun. And not paint them the way a lot of other shows or series have done where they paint haunted house creators with like the brush of a lovable loser, because they're not. I mean, these are passionate, creative people making visceral experiences, which we desperately need, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
So we have time for one more question. Does anyone have a question for Sean?
Yes.
Yeah, there's one right there.
Hey, so how did you become involved in this project, and what were you feeling as you saw yourself on the screen?
I met John when I was doing a show called Play Dead, and that was at the Geffen Theater in LA. It was directed by Teller from Penn and Teller, starring Todd Robbins, and one of my co-cast members, one of my co-cast said, "I want you to meet this guy John. He's making a documentary on the haunting, just what you'd like to do." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've done a bunch of those interviews. Sure, I'll meet him, whatever." But we talked after Play Dead, and he got it. I mean, he absolutely got it, and I was thrilled to spend time with him and his lovely wife, and we became friends over that. So I'm really happy. And I'm very emotional over the movie right now. I've never seen it. He's been keeping it from me. Overwhelmed.
It was emotional for me to watch it with everyone here too, you know, to get all that energy, because like when you're trying to do something that's gonna try to make people laugh out loud, to get emotional, to be shocked, genuinely shocked and disturbed, and then to feel strangely inspired, and then to be in a room full of people where we're getting that, this was the greatest gift ever, and I can't thank you enough for including us in this festival, and for the review that you wrote about the film, the description on your website about my film. We all were crying. Did you see the wonderful things they're writing? It's incredible. He loves it, he gets it. It was awesome. I can't thank you enough.
We're
great.
so glad to have you. So please tell everyone you know about the film for the second screening if they haven't seen it. Also, it comes out on DVD and digital soon. There's
October 3rd. October 3rd.
There you go. There's flyers out there. Buy it, support it, and a huge round of applause for it.